Though it came onto the scene as a relatively unknown indie project back in 2016, Behavior's Dead by Daylight has quickly risen to become the king of asymmetrical horror in video games. Though it could be argued that there are many reasons for the game's long-standing success, I would argue that the main reason Dead by Daylight has been able to take the lead and keep the lead in the asymmetrical horror gaming space is because of their acquisition of major licensed properties such as Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger that bring in fans who just want to play as their beloved slasher icons. So whether they're coming in and playing as the Demogorgon or as Pyramid Head, this is getting new people to the game. But of course, no lead is safe, and if Dead by Daylight wants to stay the kings of their genre, they would be wise to keep adding iconic characters in addition to the original chapters that are so beloved by the fans. Hi, I'm DustFood, and today we're going to look at 5 licensed killers that Dead by Daylight needs to add if they want to stay the kings of asymmetrical horror. Number 5, Pennywise from It. Okay, so I'm going to own up and say this is not one that I just supremely want to see in the game as compared to some of the others, but this is not about me entirely, and from having been on the Dead by Daylight Reddit, looking over the forums, being on Twitter, just being a part of this community for as long as I have, even just asking chat, hey, who do you want to see in the game? It's very obvious that there is a lot of fire and passion for getting Pennywise into this game. And you know what? That's cool with me. I think it makes a certain amount of sense. So let's go over our criteria. What would be the name of the killer? What would be the nickname? Who would be the survivors? Who would be, what would the map be? In this case, I don't know what they would go with for the nickname. It would actually be cool if, in this case, they just stopped with the formula that they've used for everybody, the so-and-so. So it's the Trapper, the Wraith, and sometimes even clunky things like the Ghostface. In the case of Pennywise, I actually think it would be really cool if they just called it It, because that would be obviously very much a loving homage to the character, and I think that would go over really well with the crowd. Now, obviously, that's not the major thing. I think people would be more excited what survivors would be added. And that's an interesting one because there are a lot of options when you're dealing with the classic Stephen King story. So I think you have Ben, you have Bill, you have Bev, you have the Bees, you have so many just high quality options, and I don't think anybody would complain about any of them. Now, one thing that does need to be noted is that it would have to be their adult versions because Dead by Daylight has made it very clear they are not going to add children to the game. That's why there was no discussion of 11 coming in the Stranger Things chapter, and that's why if they were ever to do something like a Chucky Child's Play chapter, they would not add a child survivor. It's just not going to happen, so it would have to be the adult versions of these characters, but luckily both the novel and the movies have them as adults as well, so you can actually you can get those beloved children's characters, but you can get them past that one hurdle. Now, what would the map be? In the case of the map for Pennywise, it's got to be the Neibolt house. There is just, maybe a sewer type map. I think it'd be cool to have. It would be cool to have a kind of mixture where part of it is the Neibolt house, but then you can go down to the sewer, have a 2-floor map. I think that'd be really cool. And, this is probably the most realistic licensed killer to be added to the game within a generally, soon type of time frame. Because Matthew McCote, one of the top employees at Behavior, has said repeatedly that there is a standing invitation for Pennywise should he ever want to join the game. So I think this is one that has a decent chance of happening. But, again, it's not that I wouldn't be excited for it. We do already have a clown, but obviously there's a very different clown, and we will just, we'll have to see. But I think a lot of people would really like to see this. So number 5 is Pennywise. Number 4 is Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. Now, I think that Dead by Daylight made a massive step forward in showing love to the video game medium when they added Pyramid Head from Silent Hill to the game. And it was just the coolest thing. I went into the announcement for Pyramid Head saying Jason or bust. If it was anybody but Jason, I was going to be disappointed. And then it was Pyramid Head, which I actually thought was less likely than Jason, and I was blown away. It showed me that they can surprise me. They can give me really cool things that I did not think were possible. Pyramid Head was an amazing addition. I'm so thankful that they added him, and it shows very clearly that if they are willing to go through the process of getting a licensed character from Konami, there is nobody that is fully off the table. There's nobody that they will not at least kick the tires and see what they can do in the video game world. So that was really cool. And I say, why not keep that going? Let's add Nemesis. Obviously, very naturally, Jill Valentine would have to be the survivor. Raccoon City in general seems to be the only realistic type of setting. The only realistic type of setting for the map, even though you could do some kind of umbrella corporation, either office building or laboratory. I mean, you have options here. I'm not super passionate about any of those. As far as what his nickname would be, I would say if you could do it, the Nemesis would make just a world of sense. So I think this one is, this is one of those, I don't think it's going to happen, honestly. Resident Evil 3 has already gotten its remaster, and they likely would have wanted that to coincide. But then again, there's nothing in the works that we know of on the Silent Hill front, and Pyramid Head still got added. So you never know. It's something I would like to see, very much so, but it's also something I don't know how realistic it is, but I'm pulling for it for sure. More video game characters in my video game, right? That sounds great. All right, number 3 is going to be Predator, the Yautja. And this is one that I'm going to preface by saying, guys, it's not going to happen. I would love to see it, and it makes so much sense that it hurts me to have to say it's not going to happen. Because you think about what the Yautja is. It's an alien species that their entire thing is asymmetrical hunting. I mean, sincerely, think about that's the concept. They go to their game reservations, and they put humans there and presumably other aliens there. And it's one predator against a host of humans, and they go and they kill them. You have so much iconic weaponry you could play with. Obviously, Dutch Schaefer, Arnold Schwarzenegger from the original, would be a great survivor. Though you could go, last time they were only able to get the newer Freddy Krueger. So if that's what you have to do with Predator, I'd be fine with Adrian Brody as or whatever the sniper. I forget what her name was in the film, but she would be fine as well. You could really show love to the horror genre and get Danny Trejo's character, even though he wasn't a major player in the film. Danny Trejo has obviously been in quite a few horror films, so I think he'd be a great addition to Dead by Daylight. But options with the survivor. As far as the Predator itself, the Predator, that seems like a great nickname. You could have a game reservation, or you could do where did the first film take place? South America, maybe Africa. I can't quite remember. I think it was Africa. I think that the first film took place in Africa. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was Asia. It was a forest. It was a forest, but if you could really recapture the look of that forest, that would be one thing. But actually, as much as I love the original, I do think that the game reservation from Predators would be cooler, and you could even have some really loving homages. You could have the pit where they find the tied up Yautja. You could have the crashed spaceship where they find Lawrence Fishburne's character. You could have all that, and it could be really cool. I would definitely be here for it. Obviously, the skins would be amazing for the Predator. I mean, you could really get creative with new ones, or you could have the basic original unbeatable design for the Predator. You could have the 3 Predators, the Falconer, the Berserker, whatever they were in Predators. You could have the newer Super Predator from the awful reboot they just did with I think Shane Black directed it. You have options. You have the Wolf Predator from AVP Requiem, which again, they've made so many bad Predator films. But that doesn't take away from how cool the character is. It's not going to happen. The Predator just got its own game that is an asymmetrical, because again, somebody else had the idea. They're like, hey, isn't the whole concept of this killer that it's an asymmetrical hunter? But it would still be super cool to see it come to Dead by Daylight, because honestly, though I was pulling for it, Predator Hunting Grounds seems to be not doing so well. If it ever dies off, let's see it come to Dead by Daylight. I would love to have it. You'd love to have it. Let's see it happen. Number 2. We have the Xenomorph, which very naturally would be nicknamed the Alien. And as far as the survivor goes, you have 2 options to me. It's Ellen Ripley from the original film, the original first 3 films, or Amanda Ripley from Alien Isolation. Either one would work. I think they would be more likely to do Amanda Ripley because it would be harder to get Sigourney Weaver's likeness in the game. And if you're not going to get her likeness, people are going to complain. It's what happens. It has happened with every licensed character that you did not get the likeness to their face. So Laurie Strode, Quentin Smith, David Tapp, so on and so forth. You know, it's a thing where you have to get one of the Ripleys. Amanda is likely easier to get, and that's fine. I love Alien Isolation. I had a great time playing it. And again, it'd be showing love to the video game side of it because Dead by Daylight is a video game. But it, you know, to me, I didn't really want to put the Alien and the Predator on here because I think they're kind of unfairly tied at the waist when they're very different properties. But you know, the Xenomorph would have taken the #1 spot if not for a really obvious one because the Xenomorph is perfect for Dead by Daylight. Its weapon could be really all kinds of things. It could have its whip tail. It could have some kind of effect where it shoots acid blood. The chest burster would likely come into play at some point. And then that's the thing. Think of the Moris. Whether it's using the little second mouth within its mouth or using a chest burster. Can you imagine just the joy of getting to use a chest burster on the survivors? I mean, oh my goodness, that would be cool. And obviously, I didn't mention it. The map, it's going to be the Nostromo. It's got to be the Nostromo. That is where Alien 1 took place. That is where Alien Isolation took place. It's got to be the Nostromo. I think that's where Isolate. I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to be like, actually, Will, because now that I think about it, I don't think that's where Isolation took place. But the point stands. The Nostromo would be amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I think this one just makes a little too much sense. I'm a little shocked that it hasn't happened yet. And every time they start talking about a new killer, I get really hopeful that it's going to be the Xenomorph because this is one I could see happening. This is one where the licensed property is still very much alive and kicking. Obviously, I think it's Paramount that has the Alien franchise, and they've been pumping out just terrible Alien sequels for a while now. And they could really get some momentum going for a future one if they are to put the Alien in Dead by Daylight and create an entire new generation of fans who might otherwise... Look, video games speak to people in a way that people are just now really starting to understand. And if you want to get kids to go watch a movie from the 70s, this is a great way to do it. Put the Alien in Dead by Daylight. And it's such a good way that it almost took the #1 spot. But it didn't. It did not take the #1 spot because that went to #1, Jason Voorhees. Now, I know some of you may not even make it to this point in the video before you go to comment, actually, Food, Jason already has his own game and there's a lawsuit and he's not coming. And I agree. It is not supremely likely that Jason Voorhees ends up in Dead by Daylight. I will acknowledge that one 100%. However, when Matthew McCote said Pennywise had a standing invitation to join Dead by Daylight, he didn't only say Pennywise had that standing invitation. He also said Jason Voorhees had that invitation. And honestly, yeah, obviously, right? This is Jason Voorhees. If you were doing a Mount Rushmore of the slasher icons, I can't tell you who the 4th spot is for sure. I can tell you it's Freddy, I can tell you it's Michael, and I can tell you it's Jason. Freddy and Michael are in the game. You know, you can't discount Jason Voorhees. And look, just to first off run through it, what would his nickname be? I have no idea on that one. I tried to think of it. I thought of maybe the Mama's Boy, but then I was like, no, Will, that's why you don't get paid to write things. That's terrible. the Crystal Lake, something. I don't know, man. There's got to be something. But whatever they call them, does it really matter? No, I don't think it does. What matters is that you get them in the game. The survivor would be Tommy Jarvis. It has to be Tommy Jarvis. And then you could get iconic Camp Crystal Lake into the game, which would be fantastic. I would love it if it was the first map to have a water section of some sort instead of just having Crystal Lake out to the side. And again, I'm sure somebody in the comments oh, you think it's the first one with the water section? Have you thought about... Yeah, no, I haven't. But either way, look, I love you guys. I'm just giving you a hard time about that. If I make a mistake, please do comment it below. Let me know. But Jason obviously comes equipped with just a ton of skins that he would be able to wear. Part 6 is my favorite of his looks. Part 8 is a great look. Part 2 is beloved for reasons I'll never understand. Obviously, you have the great Savini Jason look that he made for the game. Unlikely that one ever gets added, but gosh, it's so cool. I'd love to see it. And, you know, let's address that elephant in the room. The Friday the 13th game. It's dead. I played it. I loved it. I had a great time making memories on it. But it's dead. That lawsuit really does seem like it killed it. And I don't think we're going to see that one make a comeback. And it seems like the lawsuit is kind of grinding to a halt. It seems like things are kind of, you know, look, first off, the guy who made the lawsuit, for now, he won. Now, obviously, there's a lot of fighting going on to try to wrest control back of it, and legal battles can really be drawn out. Maybe we don't get Jason because he's not available, right? Maybe Dead by Daylight has long since died, ironically, by the time that Jason becomes back on the market. Comes back on the market, that is. And, you know, that'd be unfortunate, but it's possible. But at the same time, it's not impossible that he gets added to the game. We know there's interest in adding him. And we know that he is a guy, Behavior is very keen to add to their game. So he's number 1. And again, I'm not ranking these on how likely they are, because again, if it was on likelihood, I would have put Pennywise at number 1. But, you know, I'm interested to see what you guys think. Do you agree that Jason should be number 1? Do you have another killer that you're like, Will, what about Candyman? What about Pinhead? What about, you know, gosh, there's so many people. I know there's hype for like a Five Nights at Freddy's crossover. There's all kinds of things that people want to see in this game, and I'm really open to most of them. So hit me up in the comments below with a killer you would like to see added to Dead by Daylight. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because we do try to post regularly. Make sure to go follow me on Twitch. I stream Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock Central. And until next time, foodies, I will see you later. Bye, friends.